Hey you! This is Africa. But do you know where Zimbabwe is? Well, it's this part of the continent. And from 2007 to 2009, it had one of the heaviest hyperinflations of all times. You never heard of that and you want to know what happened? Let's find out. Before we start, I need your help. I already published a few videos, which are the first that I have ever made, and I'm still learning a lot about editing, voice recording, and how I can present these topics to give you better content. If you're interested in economics and economic history, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like, give me some love in the comments, share this video, and also let me know in the comments below what other topics I should cover for you in upcoming videos. With that out of the way, let's go back to the video. Zimbabwe was established as a country in 1980 from the unrecognized Republic of Rhodesia, which was the de facto successor state of the British colony of Southern Rhodesia. In the early years, the economy of the young nation was thriving, with especially the tobacco industry being an important factor in the economy of Zimbabwe. In the early 90s, the president Robert Mugabe began to implement an economical structural adjustment program, which ended in the late 90s in land reforms that disappropriated white farmers and gave the land to black people and mostly Mugabe loyalists, which often did not have any experience of farming themselves. This had two major outcomes. First, a lot of white people left the country, taking all their capital with them, which put the banking sector under a lot of pressure. Second, within 10 years, the outcome of food production dropped tremendously, and with this, more and more loans from the farmers were not paid back, which let the banking sector collapse. The unemployment rate went up to 80%. Besides that, the United States, the European Union, and the International Monetary Fund imposed economic sanctions on some companies and persons, in particular around 200 Zimbabweans, which were in close contact with the Mugabe regime. This is the economic background for where it gets really bad. As you can see, the economy already had severe issues and drivers for inflation. The country was in a bad shape. Government instability, civic unrest, as well as poverty and violence undermined the confidence in the future. However, in this situation, the Mugabe regime was still printing more and more money to finance its involvement in the Second Congo War in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Furthermore, because of this questionable regime, the currency didn't have the best reputation and trust in the first place. A German company who printed the money for the Zimbabwean government printed in 2008 170 trillion Zimbabwean dollar a week for Zimbabwe. The inflation was so high and so many zeros had to be used that the ATMs stopped working as they were experiencing a data overflow error. The hyperinflation was out of control, hitting a price growth of 11.2 million% by June and peaking in November at around 79 billion a month, which would be an equivalent of 89.76 trillion% a year. In the end, $1 was worth around 2.6 billion Zimbabwean dollars. As a fun fact, When the Zimbabwean dollar was newly introduced, it was initially valued higher than the US dollar at the official exchange rate, even though this did not reflect the actual purchasing power of the currency. To fight the inflation, the government declared inflation in 2007 illegal. And of course, this stopped the inflation immediately. Nah, just kidding. This meant that it was illegal to raise the prices for goods and services, but it is known that this is an ineffective tool against inflation, especially as the government did not stop printing more and more money. After the peak of the inflation in November 2008, around 1,000 shops were allowed in December to deal with foreign currency, which meant more stability for the shops and the customers than using the Zimbabwean dollar with its high inflation. In January 2009, the finance minister allowed officially everyone to use foreign currency, with mostly US dollar, euro, but also the South African rand being used in Zimbabwe. Of course, the citizens already used these currencies before on the black market and unofficially. As the Zimbabwean dollar underwent this hyperinflation, the only thing that the government was able to do was to abolish the currency. Therefore, in 2009, the government abandoned printing Zimbabwean dollars, but also letting the people use the trusted currencies. In 2014, around 80% of Zimbabweans were still using dollars, and therefore the dollar is the de facto currency nowadays in Zimbabwe. Furthermore, the National Bank of Zimbabwe started multiple times that they don't want to re-establish a national currency. However, as the liquidity of the US dollar decreased in 2016, the Reserve Bank printed new bond notes, meaning the note stated not a currency itself, but rather legal tender, near money, pegged equally against the US dollar. So that was the hyperinflation of Zimbabwe, one of the highest inflations in the history, which in the end killed the Zimbabwean dollar. But where are we now? In 2018, the official inflation rate was at 4.3% in Zimbabwe. However, in 2019, the inflation was estimated around 500% again. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy struggled further, which pushed the inflation even higher to about 676%. And as you see, the country is still struggling nowadays, and we still need to observe how the current economic situation will develop in Zimbabwe. Anyways, have you been aware of the hyperinflation and the economic situation in Zimbabwe? Have you heard of the land reforms in Zimbabwe before, with the disappropriation of white farmers? Let me know in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe, and also consider watching my other videos. And I'll see you in the next one.